Our major challenge is not that we are living in a world with proliferation of ideas, but rather we are unconsciously driven by ideas that may be harmful to our personal growth and development. My name is Mideba Mishile, your host on ThinkwithMide, a podcast dedicated to thinking, problem solving, brain science, and self-mastery, which is aimed at helping you to develop your thinking skills for personal and professional development. In the last episode of my podcast, I spoke about how you can explore the world of conflicting ideas like a pro. In this episode, I'll be talking about the 4 broad categories of ideas in society and how to identify their individual strengths and weaknesses. I grouped the ideas in the society into 4 broad categories. The first category I'll be considering is educational ideas. What is education? Some define education based on what you receive at home or based on what you receive in an organized environment like school. They call what you receive domestically as informal education, while the ones you receive in an organized system is seen as a formal education. With the advent of technology, you can sit in your home and receive an organized education via the internet. Therefore, in this age, there is a blur line between a formal education and informal education, and this is what prompted me to give my own definition of education. Education is the art and science of preparing the members of the society to take charge of their life. That means, for you to say you are educated, you should be able to take responsibility for your life. In the organized educational system, like what is applicable in school, education is divided into 3 broad categories: the science, humanities, and technology. But technology is an idea in itself because technology is the application of science. Therefore, I'm removing technology from educational ideas. I'm grouping technology as a separate idea in itself. Now we are left with only 2 categories, that is the science and humanities. Under the science, we have physical science, biological science, and social science. The physical science is divided into chemistry, physics, astronomy, and earth science. Earth science is grouped into geology and meteorology. I won't go into the details of any of this idea. What I'm intimating you with in this episode is just to give you an overview of these ideas. Under the science, we have the physical science, and then we have the biological science. The biological science is subdivided into botany, zoology, and microbiology. After the biological science, we now have the social science. The social science entails economics, anthropology, psychology, sociology, and political science. The physical science, biological science, and social science are the categories we have under the science. Now we move on to humanities. People use humanities to document and explore human experience. And there are 6 basic divisions in humanities. And they are history, philosophy, literature, religion, art, and music. And not quite long, dance is seen as a separate branch in humanities, although it has always been seen as part of music. And because of this development, humanities is divided into 7 divisions. Now we are moving on to the second broad categories of ideas we have in society. And this category is the technology and business related ideas. Like I said earlier on, although technology is studied in school, the main home of technology is in the business world. And this makes us to have technology and business related ideas. The application of science is so broad, but I will only restrict myself to the categories I came across on the Wikipedia. And these categories are aerospace, applied physics, agriculture, communication, computing, construction, design, electronics, energy, engineering, firefighter, forensic science, health, hydrology, industry, information science, military science, mining, nanotechnology, quantum technology, transport, and sustainability. Under the communication, you have books, telecommunication, internet, radio, and television. Under the computing, you have things like computer engineering, computer science, artificial intelligence, information technology, software engineering. And under the engineering, you have like chemical engineering, electrical engineering, and so on and so forth. Technology is the general application of science, that is, the physical science, the biological science, and the social science. It is the technology that we use in operating in a society, both in the physical and the social world. The four broad questions that drive every business are: what values are we going to create for the society, and why should such value be created? How best can this value be created? In this sense, we are talking about innovation and cost management. Innovation is divided into two broad categories: the process innovation and the product innovation. The third question is: how best can people and resources be mobilized to create value? You are talking about human capital, financial capital, and then talking about time. These are the core resources you want to manage as a value creator. To manage human capital, we have the human resource management team, we have the leadership team, and we have the board of directors. And the fourth question is: how best can the value created be taken to the people? Are people going to pay for these resources, or they'll be given for free? Is it going to be a profit-making or non-profit making organization? And to take it across to the people, we're talking about marketing the goods, advertising it, and then creating promotions. I've talked about the educational idea and also the technology and business related idea. Now, let's move on to the third broad category of idea. The third broad category of idea is the religion idea. Religion is an integral part of every culture. Religion often spread with the ideas of the culture it was founded. For example, when you consider Christian wedding, it is similar across almost every society where you find Christians, whereas it is just a culture in the Western society that has nothing to do with Christianity per se. When you look at the ways Muslims dress in the East and the West, they are similar. Dressing is an integral part of Islamic religion. And looking back, the dressing corresponds with the culture where Islamic religion originated. Religion is a very controversial issue in society today, so I won't be going too deep into any religion. And religion is controversial because it cannot be subjected to reason. As human beings, we are only restricted to what we can reason out logically. The reason why we are making progress collectively in the field of science today is because the field of science is subjected to reason. Religion is accepted as an unquestionable truth. Religion is not subjected to reason. And everybody sees his or her religion as true. As for me, the only thing that is true about religion is the body of knowledge that was passed down to every generation. Aside that, you can't subject religion to reason, and that's why the subject is very controversial. After accepting this body of knowledge, then you find reasons to back up the body of knowledge that was passed down to you. You can't defend religion scientifically or logically. That's why we do refer back to the text that was handed over to us to back up our religion. Aside that, there's no other thing we can use to back it up. I'm okay with religion. The only thing I'm not pleased about religion is imposing your truth on other people. And this is why we have clashes of religion all over the world. When you treat religion as an idea, it will be easier for you to see the truth in other people's religion. There are some things you can't verify about religion as long as you are alive. You can only accept these things by faith. Therefore, religion is based on belief. And nobody wants to accept that what he or she believes is false. And that is where the problem of the world lies. Every religion tends to provide answer to 3 or 4 of these questions. And the first question is, where are we coming from? The Yoruba religion talk about Anyomo. That is, we've been predestined somewhere before we came here. And we're only here to do what we've been predestined to do. The Buddhism talks about karma. And I don't know if Christianity or Islamic religion or any other religion talks about predestination. The question is, where are we coming from? And the second question is, where are we going? Where are we heading to? This is the question of afterlife. There are several answers provided for this: fire, heaven, judgment, and the likes. Okay, some religion doesn't have afterlife, while some have. In some religion, it is believed you will be judged based on what you do over here, while some religion doesn't believe that. The question is, where are we going? The afterlife. The third question is, what should constitute human's conduct? That is, how should we behave? What kind of lifestyle should we live? What should we eat? What should we not eat? And thereabout. They are religion ideas, and you can't subject these ideas to reason because they are body of knowledge passed down to every generation. So if I see anybody trying to defend his or her religion, like I do sometimes, I swear, I'm only defending it based on the body of knowledge I was exposed to. Religion is all about the belief, and that's why it is very controversial. Religion is not subjected to reason. It is subjected to the body of knowledge received. If you don't believe, you don't believe. And if you believe, you believe. But you can't prove it out using logic or mathematics. And the major problem we have in the world today is because we are trying to reason out religion. Religion is beyond reason, it is based on belief. And the final question every religion seeks to answer is, how do we handle life's unfolding events and deal with the uncertainties of life? Talking about the issue of death, accidents, disappointments, heartbreak, and so many things that are inescapable part of life. So, a different religion handle this issue differently. Let's move to the fourth broad idea we'll be discussing in this episode, and that is the cultural idea. What is culture? Culture is defined as the way of life of people. There are four broad questions every culture seeks to answer. 1. How do we govern ourselves? And how do we relate with people within and outside our cultural group? And secondly, how do we educate new members and integrate them into the society? Here we're talking about domestic education, the intellectual development of the new members, and then we're talking about the spiritual education. Every culture has domestic education for their new members. The domestic education entails like the role play, the behavior modification, the language learning. The role play is about the question of how should we bring up the male child and how should we bring up the female child. Behavioral modification teach them respect, honesty, etc. Then we have the language training. Teach them the core languages, poems, proverbs, etc. The intellectual development. The purpose of the intellectual development is to help the new members to solve problems that requires thinking. Then we have the spiritual education. The spiritual education is to protect the new members against physical and spiritual attack. Every culture has one way or the other of bringing up the new members in their religion practices, and this maintains the conduct of certain rituals. Religion idea is no longer an integral part of most culture. It is an external idea integrated into different culture. The third question every culture seeks to answer is, how do we ensure the continuity of our race? And this is what brings about the family system. And the family system varies across different cultures. We have the monogamy family system, the polygamy family system, the polyandry family system, and some other family systems. These are ideas that differs across different cultures. You can't defend the family system idea logically. You can only defend it using the body of knowledge passed down to you from previous generation. And the final question every culture seeks to answer is, how to empower members to create value in exchange for money to meet their needs. How do we empower our members to cater for their food, clothing, shelter, and security? Security in both physical and spiritual sense. And this marks the end of this week's episode. We discussed about the four broad categories of ideas we have in society, which are educational ideas, technology and business related ideas, religion ideas, and cultural ideas. I talked about the questions that drive every business, that is, what values to create and why should such value be created. And the second question is, How best can this value be created? We're talking about innovation and cost management, and innovation is divided into the process and product innovation. The third question every business seeks to answer is how best can people and resources be mobilized to create value? And finally, how best can the value created be taken to the people? I summarize education as preparing the members of the society to take charge of their lives. I also said that religion idea is rooted into four basic questions. That is, where are we coming from? Where are we going after this life? And what should constitute human conduct, that is, our behaviors and lifestyle? And finally, how do we handle life's unfolding events? That is, how do we deal with the uncertainties of life? I made mention of cultural idea. I said every culture seeks to answer four basic questions, which are how do we govern ourselves? And how do we relate with people within and outside our cultural group? Secondly, how do we educate our new members and integrate them into the society? And thirdly, how do we ensure the continuity of our race? And finally, how do we empower new members to create value in exchange for money to meet their needs? In the next episode, I will be considering culture hybrid, that is, how to learn from the solutions provided in other culture to supplement the solutions that were handed over to you in your culture. Please, I want you to subscribe to my podcast by visiting podcast.thinkwithmide.net. See you next week, Tuesday.